We've reached the final lesson. Lesson 6.6, it's all about making predictions with probability. Let's get to it. We can use probabilities to make predictions or a guess about a future event, something that hasn't happened yet. For example, the probability of rolling a 3 on a dice is 1/6 because 1 out of the 6 sides has a 3 on it. 1 out of the 6 outcomes. So if we roll that dice 12 times, how many times would we predict to roll a 3? I haven't done it yet. I'm making a guess about the future. So I would say, well, I know in theory I should get it 1 out of every 6 times because one side has a 3 out of 6. And I'm going to roll it 12 total times. So 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. So we would expect that we would roll a 3 2 times out of 12. That's our prediction. We haven't done it yet. That's my guess about what's going to happen in the future. Hey, Mrs. Toivola, didn't we already do this? Well, yeah, kind of. You might remember the day that we did the experiments with flipping a coin and rolling a dice. This one is all about flipping a coin. We said the probability of flipping tails was 1 out of 2 sides. And then we said, well, if we do it 10 times, 2 times 5 is 10, so 1 times 5 is 5. So our prediction was to flip tails 5 times. That's what we thought should have happened. It didn't necessarily happen. You can see in my probability experiment, in my experimental probability, I rolled it 7 times. But we can go further than just coins and dice. For example, YouTube says that 75% of people watch entire ads and don't click skip ads. Isn't that kind of unbelievable? Every time I have this option right there to skip, I always do, but I don't know. Maybe some people walk away. Maybe some people like watching ads. I don't know. If 75% of people watch the entire ads, then we can figure out how many people out of a group will probably watch the ad in the future. So here we go. If 80 people watch a video, how many do you predict will watch the ads? Okay, we know that 75% watch the entire ads. So I'm going to write 75% as a fraction. And then I'm going to write equals. And then 80 on the bottom because that's the whole group of people that watch. When we figure out what number goes here on top, then we will know how many people probably will watch the entire ad. This one's a little bit trickier. This isn't just a simple times or divide problem. Right? Times 2 gets me 200. Divide by 2 gets me 50. This one is really tricky. All right, but I can still use a calculator to figure this out. If I do 100 divide by 80, it's going to tell me the number I need to divide by. So here we go, divide by 1 and 25 hundredths. Clear my calculator, 75 divided by 1 and 25 hundredths is 60. So I'll write a 60 here. Ms. Toivola, how would I know if this is correct? Well, a couple of different ways. 75 over 100 gives me this decimal, and 60 over 80 gives me the same decimal, so that's one way to know. So our prediction is 60 people will watch. Okay, Ms. Toivola, that's a little bit tricky, and maybe I don't want to do all those steps. Totally fine, you don't have to. We know that less than the whole group is going to watch. Right? If the whole group watch, that would be 80. I could say one whole group, and the group is 80 people, so one whole group times 80 is 80. But it's less than the whole group. I'm going to take 75 over 100, 75%, and write it as its decimal form. 0 and 75 hundredths times 80. Guess what number we're going to get? 0 and 75 hundredths times 80. Also gets me to 60. This way will get us the exact same answer. Ms. Toivola, will it work every time? Yes. Yes, it will. Here's another example. There are 200 students at lunch. How many would we predict would choose pizza as their favorite food? Well, we could look at this experimental probability and see 4 people pick meatloaf, and 5 people pick tacos, 9 people picked hamburgers, 18 people picked pizza, and 4 people picked fish. That doesn't look anything close to 200. Let's find out how many that actually is. Move this out of the way. All right, here we go. 4 plus 5 plus 9 plus 18 plus 4 equals. Our total is 40. Not 200. But we can use this experimental probability to find out how many probably would pick pizza if there were 200 students. Let's back up a step. I can see pizza is 18 out of 40. So I'm going to write that as a fraction, 18 out of 40. But we don't really want to talk to 40 students. We want to talk to 200 students. So we'll write 200 on the bottom. I can see here there's a 4 in front and a 20 in front. I know 4 times 5 is 20. So let's try that. 40 times 5. Look at that. It is 200, so that works. So I can times by 5 on the top. This is not a basic fact. You're not expected to know it. 18 times 5 is 90. We would expect about 90 students would pick pizza. About 90 will pick pizza. Because it's probability. It's probably not going to be exactly 90. But could it be? Sure. Hey, Ms. Toivola, remember that easy multiply thing? That worked. It worked really easy when it was a percent because the decimal form of 75% was 0.75. Here it's not as easy because I don't see a decimal form, but we can get one pretty easy. We're going to take this fraction, 18 over 40, and turn it into a decimal. That gives us 0 and 45 hundredths. Then we're going to multiply 0 and 45 hundredths times the whole group. Do you remember how many people we were going to ask? We were going to ask 200 students. So times 200. It's going to get us a pretty familiar looking number. Times 200. 90. Well, look at that. We got 90 both ways. Ms. Toivola, can I just do this shortcut way? Absolutely you can, if you understand what you're doing. One more quick example. Same table. We know that there are 40 students who got asked. This time, we're only going to ask 100 students. If we picked 100 students at lunch, how many would choose tacos? I see tacos is 5. Right now, our table says 5 out of 40. 5 students out of 40 pick tacos. But what if we asked 100? Uh-oh. If I count by 4, 8, 12, I don't get to 100. Right? 4 times 2 is 80. Well, that doesn't work. 4 times 3 is 40 times 3 is 120. That doesn't work. If you don't know, you can turn this into a divide by problem. Pick the bigger number, 100 divided by 40. That tells you what to times by. Times 2.5. And then turn it around. Times 40. See how it gets you right there? All right. So then I'm going to do the same thing to the top. Times 2.5. 2.5. 5 times 2.5 is 12. 12.5 kids? Oh, man. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. How could you have half a kid? Well, this is just a prediction. We would say about 12 or 13 is what we would expect to pick tacos. About 12 or 13 will pick tacos. Can't have half a student pick tacos. All right, one more time, Ms. Toivola. Let's look at that fast and easy way, right? The way we just kind of times and we get the answer. We have to take 5/40ths and make it be a decimal. I'll put it down here this time. 5 divided by 4. Oops, try it again. 5 divided by 40 gives me this decimal. Here we go, 0 and 125. Times, this time our group was 100 kids. Right, and then we'll put that in a calculator, times 100. Well, look at that. It's that 12.5 number again. Again, we are not going to say exactly 12.5 kids. We are going to say about 12 or 13. If I got either one of those numbers, that's kind of what I would expect to get. 12 or 13 kids who would pick tacos. Okay, do the very best you can on your next worksheet.